Hello, Namaste, and a very warm welcome to this video. My name is Saqib. I am a meditation teacher and a therapist. And today we will talk about intuition. What is intuition? What are the different kinds of intuition? How can you tap into your intuition? How can you identify your intuition? And finally, what are the two organs in our body that are responsible for intuition? So let's begin and let's talk about intuition. Now, according to the dictionary, the definition of intuition is the ability to understand something immediately without the need for conscious reasoning. Now, to understand this deeply, I will first have to explain to you that what is intellect, what is instinct, and then I will explain what is intuition. So we are talking about three things here: intellect, instinct, and intuition. First, let's talk about intellect. When we use our rational mind, when we think, when we plan, when we strategize, that is when we are using our intellect. When, let's say, we have to make a decision and we are using our thoughts, we are strategizing, we are planning, we are discussing, when we are doing a critical analysis of things, when we are looking at the information, the knowledge that we have, and then we are coming to a conclusion about a decision that we have to make, then we are using our intellect. The next is instinct, and the instinct mainly comes from either our subconscious or our genes. In our subconscious, there are a lot of memories that we have of our past. And those memories might be either fear-based memories or they might be loving and happy memories that we have of our past. Because we have gone through various experiences in life. And when we are faced with a decision, then these memories get triggered and we somehow know that we have to take this decision. And let me give you an example. If you have observed animals, and if you watch these shows on the National Geographic or Discovery about animals, you will see that when a deer is attacked, it gets an instinct and it will start running just before the attack happens, even before the tiger comes to attack the deer. Because that is based on the deer's experiences, past experiences, this instinct of fear. Suddenly, even before the attack, the deer would know that it is about to be attacked and it will start running. So this is instinct, that this comes from our subconscious. It might also be embedded in our genes, because even our ancestors went through a lot of experiences, and those experiences created some memories which got embedded into our genes. For example, our early ancestors were hunters and gatherers. So they had this fear of survival because they were attacked by other tribes, or they were attacked by animals or a saber-toothed tiger in the savannah. So they had to protect themselves. They had this instinct of fear. They would fight or flight in that situation. And that fear of survival also exists in us today. This is the reason we want to stay in cozy homes. This is the reason we want to stay protected. This is the reason we want to stay in relationships. And this is the reason we work in jobs that we don't like just for money, just for survival. And that is because this instinct of fear is deeply embedded in our genes. And now comes intuition. So what is intuition? Intuition is something that comes from beyond these aspects of intellect and instinct. It is something which occurs when we are actually not thinking. It is something that occurs when we are actually not having that instinct of fear in us. It is something that comes from beyond this physical realm. It is part of that energetic field which reality is made up of. And today even science understands that most of our world is energy. If you look at an atom, and if you search on Google about an atom, you will find that an atom is only less than 0.0001% physical matter. Rest of it is all energy or empty space. So it is this field of energy which is beyond our physical senses is where we get our intuition from. There is so much that exists beyond our physical senses. If you even talk about the spectrum of light, we only see a very limited spectrum of light in which we just see the 7 colors. But there is a spectrum beyond that which we are not able to perceive through our senses, which goes beyond infrared and ultraviolet. And there might be many other things in this field that exist. We can get that intuition from our higher self. We can get that intuition from our spirit guides. We can get that intuition from interdimensional beings. We can get those messages from the universe, from our soul, or whatever we believe in. So when we get such messages from beyond the physical world, that is what intuition is. Now, in the later part of this video, I will talk about how you can identify what is intuition, how you can identify your intuition, how can you differentiate and find out, and how can you be sure that whether this is intuition or not. But first, let me talk about the 4 types of intuition that we have. The 4 types of intuition are clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, and claircognizance. Let's talk about the first type of intuition, which is clairvoyance. If you are clairvoyant, you get your intuition in the form of visuals and images. These visuals and images might come to you in dreams, or they might come to you in your waking state in the form of pictures and images. And let's say you saw something in your dream last night and it came true today. So that is when you are clairvoyant, because through these images that you saw in your dream, you knew that something is going to happen, and it happened. Or even when you are just walking on the street and you get a visual that something is going to happen, and that happens, then you are intuitive in the form of clairvoyance. Then you are clairvoyant. The second form of intuition is clairaudience. And this is when you get messages of intuition through a voice, through a sound that you listen to. A lot of people say that they listen to this voice within them which talks to them, which tells them what to do, which guides them in a particular direction. This is what clairaudience is. This is what intuition is in the form of clairaudience. You might also listen to some sounds which you cannot identify, but these sounds, these voices are guiding you. So when you are listening to such voices, you are clairaudient, and that is known as clairaudience. The third type of intuition is clairsentience. And this is when you can feel. This is when you can feel energies. This is when you can feel that something is true or not. And let's say you meet a person and immediately you get a vibe from that person. You get a vibe that maybe this person has not the right intention for you. Or maybe you get a vibe that this person has so much love for me. This is when you are connected to your energies, and this is when you are intuitive in the form of clairsentience. Or maybe let's say you enter a particular room, and when you enter this room, you know that something is not right here. When you feel that energy, that something is not right here, and you feel it in your body starts shivering maybe, it starts shaking, or maybe your heartbeat goes up. And that is when you are intuitive in the form of clairsentience. The fourth type of intuition is claircognizance. And this is a clear sense of knowing. When you just know that something is true. When you just know that something is going to happen. Or maybe when you just know that this is the decision that you have to take. And you would listen to a lot of people who say that, I just knew that I have to do that. I cannot explain it, but I just know that I have to do that. So that is when that person is actually claircognizant, when they just know that something is true. Or maybe they just know that something is going to happen. They have this knowing, a clear sense of knowing. They can tell beforehand that something is going to happen. So this is the fourth type of intuition, which is claircognizance. And now let's talk about how to identify intuition. How can you find whether that message that you got is an intuition or not? Number one, intuition comes to you in the present moment. When you are not in your present moment, you are thinking. And when you are thinking, you are either thinking of something of the past or something of the future. So either you are in the past or in the future. And past and future are just illusions, they are just in your mind. That is not the reality. For intuition to come to you, you have to come in the reality, which is the present moment. And for intuition to come to you, your mind has to reach a state of stillness. And a good analogy is of the sunlight and the clouds. The thoughts are like the clouds, while the sunlight is the intuition. For the intuition to shine through, the clouds have to clear. Only then you can experience that intuition. The second identifier of intuition is emotional neutrality. It means that intuition is emotionally neutral. Now, what is emotional neutrality? When you are not experiencing extreme emotions, that is when you are emotionally neutral. And let me give you an example here. Let's say you read in the newspaper that there was a theft or burglary that happened on the street that you live on a few days ago. And now at night, when you are walking on that street and someone comes from behind, you suddenly get this extreme feeling of fear in you that you might be robbed and you might be attacked. But when you turn around, you see that it was just an ordinary person who was walking by. It was not a thief or someone who was going to attack you. Now, this is an extreme emotion of fear, which is not intuition. If it would have been intuition, it would have given you the right message. But it was an extreme emotion that took over you. This extreme emotion of fear. And that is the reason that intuition is emotionally neutral. It does not have that extreme emotion. Now, another example is, let's say that you go on a date with someone you really like. And when you go on a date, you feel this extreme feeling of love for that person. And you think that this is the love of your life. But let's say after 1 month of your dating, you start experiencing trouble in your relationship. The person fights with you. The person is not the same person you thought the person is. And your love suddenly starts vanishing. And then you realize that your feeling was not right, maybe. The intuition was not right, because it was not an intuition. Because it was that extreme feeling of love that came to you. And when it is an extreme feeling, it is not intuition. Intuition is emotionally neutral. The third way to identify intuition is persistence. Intuition will give you the same message again and again. It will not change its message. So let's say today you are getting this message, you are getting this intuition that you should join this company, this organization. But tomorrow you are getting a different message that you should not join. Then that is not intuition. That is just your rational mind telling you to do different things because it has limited information. But intuition gives you the same message again and again. It will just tell you one thing. If you have to join that job, it will tell you to join that job again and again. It will not change its message. So persistence is a characteristic of intuition. And the fourth identifier is that intuition has no mental explanation. And as I said that when you just know that something is going to happen, you don't have a mental explanation for it. You will take that decision, you will make that decision, and people will ask you that why did you make that decision? And you will say, I just knew that I have to make that decision, I cannot explain it. that is when you have decided through your intuition and rather than your rational mind, which has that explanation in it. So when you don't have an explanation, you actually are following your intuition. And now we come to the final segment of this video, in which we will talk about the two organs in our body which are responsible for intuition. The first organ is our heart. And now the latest research says that the heart is responsible for intuition. In 1991, Dr. J. Andrew Armour found out that there are some cells in our heart which are called the sensory neurites. And these sensory neurites are about 40,000 in number. And these neurites are usually found in the brain, and their function is to think. And surprisingly, these sensory neurites were found in the heart, and they called it the little brain in the heart. So they found out that even heart has the capacity to think and to send messages. And that is when they realized that the heart might be responsible for intuition. And also the Institute of Heart Math found out that there is an electromagnetic field generated by the heart, which is a field of energy, and it extends to about 6 to 7 meters around our body. Now the reason they found that it extends to 6 to 7 meters is because it was the limitation of the instrument through which they were measuring it. But this field is believed that it extends to eternity, to infinity, and it is connected to other human beings, it is connected to Earth, and it is connected to the cosmos. And this is from where we get our intuition. The second organ in our body which is responsible for intuition is the pineal gland, which is found in the brain. The pineal gland has a crystalline structure, and when this crystalline structure is activated through awareness and by putting energy to it, it connects to different frequencies, and that is when we get intuition from these different energy fields. So to connect to your intuition, it is a good idea to work on your heart chakra, which is at the center of your chest, and on your third eye chakra, which connects to the pineal gland. I hope you found value in this video. Thank you so much for watching it. Take care and namaste.